Hello, my name is Jimmy and this is the 2023 Volvo XC40, the smallest SUV that Volvo sells here in Canada. They also have the larger XC60 as well as the XC90, both great vehicles. So let's see how the XC40 stacks up. It compares with like the Mercedes GLA, the BMW X1, as well as the Audi Q3. But let's tell you everything that you need to know, starting with the looks. For 2023, Volvo did update the entire front end, so it's actually very in line with the C40, the electric coupe SUV that they make, because the headlights, well, they're a little bit different. Same thing with the front bumper as well as the grille. Obviously, it's, well, a gasoline-powered vehicle. You don't have the C40 grille, but it is an updated grille overall. On the side of this XC40, I got 20-inch wheels, which do make it look a little bit more sporty. And to add on to that sportier flair, I got the dark theme that's on here. So the window surrounds, the grille that's in the front, as well as the roof rails on top, all darkened out, comparing to the bright theme, which, well, all those components are chrome instead. On the XC40, you do get proximity door locks on the front, so you can lock the doors on the front, but you can also unlock them on the rear, which I absolutely love. Not a lot of vehicles have this, but those that do, I do applaud them. And then around back, we got the roof spoiler. I do love the Volvo taillights. This is very, very distinctive. And that's really it. The overall look of the XC40, it's like a miniature XC60 or miniature XC90. It doesn't stand out in a crowd, but I still think it's that very simple Swedish styling that we come to love on a lot of Volvo products. If we open up the tailgate, there's two ways. You can kick underneath the tailgate here, or of course there's a button underneath. There's actually a decent size back here, 20.7 cubic feet. And it's not only the size that I like, it's also the ingenuity behind it. Of course, I have my bag in here, but let me take that out for a sec. This cargo cover on the bottom, yes, it's good to, hide some stuff below if you need to, but you can also raise it up so that you can hang your groceries on here. It's just smart things like this that just makes sense. And I love that. You can fold the seat backs down 60-40, as well as there's a center pass-through for skis and whatever longer items that you need. It's just smart. Let's head into the interior. All right, the back seats. I'm 5'11" and I got plenty of headroom. Legroom is also really, really good. So there's plenty of space for me. The window opening is decently large, but there is a little bit of a kick up on the rear end. So might be a little claustrophobic for some, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad, especially with this large panoramic sunroof that I have on top. I do have ventilation down here, USB ports, as well as heated seat option on this top trim. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable, but I do feel like the bottom cushion is a little bit flat. It's kind of common in this class just because of the size of the vehicle. They have to make it a little bit smaller, and well, it's just one of those sacrifices. But at least you do get your cup holders in the center, and it's actually a pretty good experience. For those that's going to be using the XC40 as a family vehicle, here's a Collect Link, an infant seat here on the driver's side. No problems fitting that in. The rear doors do open wide enough to allow you to get that infant carrier in and out of the cabin with ease. And on passenger side, I have a Collect 5. This is a rearward facing convertible. And once again, no problems fitting that child seat in here. I did have to move that passenger seat up a little bit, but honestly, it's not that big of a problem. I'm very comfortable in front. In terms of lower seat anchors, there's one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side here, and 3 upper anchors behind the bench. But you're not able to fit 3 car seats across. There just isn't enough room side by side. But at least if you are going to be using a forward-facing seat, you have the option of putting it on the driver's side, middle, or on the passenger side here. But let's move up to the front seats. All right, the front seats of the XC40. They are a little thin in their profile. I mean, you can kind of see it from the side here, but they're quite supportive still, and I do feel pretty comfortable in here. They are heated, and on this example, I got this textile here. This is a man-made material. It's suede-like, and actually, I like it. It has that kind of sportier flair to it, and it grips you nicely within the seat. So even while the bolsters might not hold you in that well, they're okay. Well, the seat themselves, at least that won't get you sliding all around. In front of me, I got your typical Volvo steering wheel. Once again, not leather in here. In fact, inside this interior, I actually have no leather at all. But the buttons, because that they're, well, regular plastic rather than the glossy plastic that's in the XC60 as well as the 90, it feels a little bit cheaper because of that. But personally, I actually kind of like it because you don't get the smudgy fingerprints on it. So there's some compromises there. Behind that, you get the full digital cluster. It's exactly the same as the upper end XC60 as well. I mean, it's a full Google integrated experience. You have your tachometer, you have your speedometer, and a big map in the center. And if you don't want to see the map, it's just a blank space. It's kind of weird. You don't get a heads-up display that's across all XC40s, but you do have a really good infotainment system. This brand new Google back system just works really well. You got your Google Maps, your Google Assistant, even the Google Play Store is built in. It is a little laggy at times, and going into like the climate control sometimes can take a second, but it still works the way that you expect. You can use Google Assistant to, well, ask it things like, where is your gas cap? Because for some reason, the cluster doesn't show you that. Like almost every single car, the cluster has a little arrow pointing you where the gas cap is, but this XC40 doesn't. So you can ask Google. At least Google can tell you where that is. But overall, the interior space is just a very simple Swedish, well, interior space. There's some nice things like this cutout for the door pull. It's just really, really nice. And the ambient lighting at night, it's not in your face. It's just a little bit to give, well, ambient. It's not like a Mercedes where it's going to be like 64 colors shining in your face or anything like that. One thing I will say is the Harman Kardon audio system that's in here, it's nowhere near as good as a Bowers and Wilkins audio system that's in like the XC60 or the 90. That sounds so much better than this. But I mean, for most people, I don't think they'll be able to tell, so it's okay. But it's definitely something well, because I just got out of another Volvo product and into this, I noticed it right away. But anyways, before we go for a drive, let's talk about what's underneath the hood here. On Canadian spec XC40s, you have two engine options. You can either get the B4 or the B5. Both are spec'd with all-wheel drive. The B4 makes 197 horsepower and the B5 makes 247 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Both are mated to an 8-speed automatic, and as I said, here for Canada at least, both come with all-wheel drive. And according to Volvo, a base XC40 with the B4 can accelerate to 100 kilometers per hour in 8.5 seconds, whereas this, well, takes 6.4, as I now will accelerate. It's not bad. Pickup's actually decent. The kickdown wasn't as slow as I thought it would be, but it's a Volvo after all. The performance aspect of it, the sportiness, that takes a back burner on basically all the safety and all that good stuff. Like I said, it's a Volvo. It's an IIHS Safety Pick Plus. It has all the active safety features that you're looking for. All the pilot assist, which is their adaptive cruise control, lane keep, all of that just works really, really well. And that's what the Volvo experience is about, right? Safety before anything else. Because dynamically, it's a little flawed. This is a Haldex all-wheel drive system. And if you don't know what that means, it's basically a front-wheel drive based all-wheel drive system. So most of the time, it's a front-wheel drive car. When it sends a slip, it sends power to the rear, up to 50%. But unlike the Golf R, for example, where it's able to trick that rear diff to send more power to one wheel over the other, this doesn't do that. It just, sends some power to the rear and, gets you out of trouble. It's so, safety conscious minded that it doesn't even have the ability to turn off stability control. There's no button for it. Older Volvos, within the infotainment, there was an ESC sport mode where you're able to, kick the rear end out, have a little bit of fun. I did that on an S90, but this, you don't have that option at all. In here, you're just left with, off-road mode, and that's it. Off-road mode just, all it really does is just lock up the wheel that's spinning and sends power the other way when you're in off-road scenarios. Great for that, but not for fun. And then if you want to have any sort of sport mode, well, there isn't that at all. Because unlike other Volvos of the past anyways, there's no like little dial in the center to change drive mode. You can go into the infotainment, there's nothing in there. The only option is, well, under settings, you can go into driving, and there is one that says under driving dynamics to make the steering feel firm. And that's all it does. It doesn't increase, well, just how much feel there is. It just makes the steering feel firmer. So really, it just reduces the amount of power it's providing to the power steering. And that's it. But like I said, no one that's really buying the XC40 really cares about that sort of, well, factors. You're buying an XC40 because it's safe. It's the vehicle that you want to get your kids to and from school, or you to and from work, other places, whatever it may be, and you know you're going to get there and home safely. And that's what this is about. As tested, this is about 56,000 Canadian dollars. It's definitely not the cheapest in its class. It's actually pretty average and in line with, well, all of its competitors. Is it worth it? Well, that's hard to say. If you like the Volvo brand, if you have the XC60 or an XC90 already, and you're looking for something that's a little bit smaller for, someone else in your family, you'll get right into this and you'll know exactly where all the buttons are, and everything will just be very familiar. And that's definitely a positive. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are gonna do. They have another Volvo in the family, or they had a Volvo in the past, and they just want to step into this because it's just a little bit different. And there's just so many cool little things about it that the XC40 just makes sense. The pockets on the side are huge, and it's carpeted with this recycled bottle material. There's a little rack here on the passenger side glove box so that you can hang your groceries, your purse, whatever you may have. I mean, there's even a garbage can in the center so that way you don't have trash flying all over the place. These are just things that Volvo has thought of, and the designers of this vehicle have thought of to make this just a very, very pleasant experience. And that's the best thing about the XC40. It's pleasant. And that's what it's about, right? In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.